What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It is starting 11 prediction time for tomorrow's trip to Tynecastle to face Hearts. We come into this one off the back of Saturday's 2-1 win at Alloa in the Scottish Cup. Not a vintage Celtic performance by any means. A few changes to the team, and obviously we picked up those 3 injuries as well. Only Abada, it looks like, is going to be available for this game tomorrow out of the 3 that got injured. So it was a costly one for us, but the main thing was that we got into the hat for the next round. We'll play better than that. I expect us to play better than that tomorrow, even though the injuries are creeping back in. I expect a much better performance tomorrow, and we're going to have to play much better because this is the second most difficult domestic game that Celtic play in. Away at Tynecastle, we lost there in the first match day of the season. Having said that, everybody knows that we're a totally different team now to where we were back then. A lot of chaos at that time of the season. A lot of players who were on their way out the door still involved that day. So the team has a very different look and a very different feel to it now. And I expect us to put in a much, much better performance than we did that day tomorrow. We need a better result. That goes without saying as well. Hearts come into this one in good form. They're obviously sitting third. They're clearly the third best team in the league. I think they've proved that so far this season. They've won the last 4 games in the bounce. They've only conceded 1 goal in that time. Their last defeat was when they faced Rangers at Tynecastle. But other than that, they've been pretty good this season, Hearts. If you think back to the game at Celtic Park, that was tight as well. We did win it, but they always give it a difficult game, and you expect nothing different from them at Tynecastle tomorrow. In other news today, obviously, the passing of Wim Jansen, a Celtic hero, a Celtic legend. He was only here for 12 months, and it seems strange to say that someone's a Celtic legend when they only spent 12 months at the club. But what he did in that 12 months is written in Celtic's history forever. Stopping 10 in a row, bringing some great players to the club, none more so obviously than Henrik Larsson. But what a career as a player, what a career as a manager, and it's a sad loss for the club, and obviously for his family as well, who we're all thinking about today. Now for the team tomorrow, a difficult one for me to pick. I think we've been debating since Saturday who's going to play in midfield with injuries, and obviously we've got problems through the middle up top as well. So it's a difficult one for the manager, and as I say, this is a really, really tough game for us. So it will start in goals. Obviously it will be Joe Hart. I was right on Saturday that he kept his place. We didn't see Bain come in. Hart kept his place. That'll be the same tomorrow, of course. At right back, Ralston came in. I expect it to go back to Juranovic tomorrow. I think he is the first choice. I know that people are going to cane me for saying that, but he started last week against Hibs, and I expect him to come back in to the team tomorrow. The centre-half pairing, I expect to revert back to Cameron Carter-Vickers and Carl Starfelt. A few changes in that area of the pitch as well on Saturday, but back to full strength, back to those two. Starfelt hopefully looking to right the wrongs from his debut at Tynecastle. He's came a long way since then. I thought last Monday against Hibs he was terrific. No one in the media wants to give him any credit for his good performances though. Sports Sound spent about 15 minutes after last Monday's game talking about how weak he is and how just about every other central defender in Scotland's better than him, which seems strange because they didn't utter a word about how good his performance was against Hibs last Monday, but there you go. Left back, I expect it to be Greg Taylor. Scales did come in on Saturday, put a great cross in for Giacomakis opener. I just think it will go back to Taylor because again I think he is Postecoglou's preferred option in that position. Now in midfield, I really don't know what the manager's going to do tomorrow. We're so short on options because Vogic has now gone in international duty. Turnbull's out with that hamstring injury, and McGregor is obviously going to miss out tomorrow due to that face injury that he picked up against Alloa. So it's going to look very different from the first choice Celtic midfield. I'm going to go with James McCarthy in the deep position. We'll see why as we go further up the pitch, but he came on at the weekend when McGregor was forced off, and you were worried obviously because it's a plastic pitch and his injury record isn't very good, but I thought he done alright, and I think we're kind of forced into playing him tomorrow if you like. It might be a kind of game that suits him because at Tynecastle you need to be physical in midfield. You need to win the midfield battle. You know Hearts will be in your faces, so you need to stand up to that and you need to win that battle in midfield. And hopefully he can help us do that tomorrow. In front of him, I've gone with Nir Bitton and Rio Hatate. That's strange, obviously, because it's effectively playing two sixes. I think the only other option fit and available is Matt O'Reilly, who's just arrived at the club, 21 years old. And I wouldn't be surprised if the manager put him in. The only reason I've not put him in is because I don't have a graphic ready for him yet. So there you go. I've picked Beaton, but if I had my O'Reilly graphic sorted, I'd probably put him in. But again, I think Beaton's experience in these games can help us. I think, again, he gives a robustness to the midfield. Having not seen O'Reilly play, I don't know exactly what he's like. I've seen some clips. I don't think... I think he's more of an 8 and he gets forward and he can create rather than Beaton's qualities, which are obviously more defensive, if you like. But I think Beaton can help us in there. And Hatate alongside him, who was brilliant last week. Hopefully he can build on that performance. As I say, this will be a real reflection of what Scottish football can be like away at Tynecastle on a Wednesday night. So I'm just excited to see more for Hatate, because if he can replicate the level of performance from last Monday on a consistent basis, we've got a proper player on our hands. The front three, again, still nursing some injuries in this area of the pitch. Abada played on Saturday, scored a great goal, and that knack for scoring goals isn't going away from Abada. I know we've all bemoaned the lack of quality in his crossing at times this season, but listen, he's putting up goals and he's putting up assists as well, so you can't complain about that. He's a young player, and there's nothing wrong with having a knack for scoring goals. He's actually done really well. When you think about, I know we spent quite a bit of money on him for his age, but when he came in the summer, if you'd have told me that he'd have been involved as much as he has been so far and scored as many goals, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So he's doing well about it. He did come off with an injury. I think James Forrest will start this game. Again, a lot of experience. I think Ange might look towards that because of the big players that we have missing. Forrest obviously started last Monday against Hibs as well, so I think he'll get the nod. And on the left-hand side, I think we will see a first start for Jota since that injury. He's had minutes off the bench against Hibs and against Alloa at the weekend. I think this has got to be the game that he comes back in to start, because it's a huge, huge game for us. And as I say, the big players that we're missing throughout the team, but particularly in the front three, mean that he has to play, because he's got to step up for us, and he's got to provide that bit of magic that can hopefully win us the game, because we're obviously missing Kyogo. Maeda's away on international duty as well, so we've got limited options in that front three, but he'll be a big boost for us if he can start this game. Only really one fit attacking option. We all know that it's Giakoumakis. He scored a good goal on Saturday against Alloa, no doubt in that. Should have had another one about 30 seconds later, right enough, or passed it to Maeda. But I think he offers a very, very different option to Kyogo and Maeda. We know that. He doesn't strike me as someone who fits Angie's philosophy. Now, that's not a criticism of him. I think that's just how it is. He's a big boy. He's a focal point, a physical presence, and you can tell that he comes alive in the box. I think with Maeda and Kyogo, you get a totally different level of intensity, of movement, and I think that's important and integral to how this Celtic team plays. So I think we look a very different team without Kyogo, and Maeda is a close enough replacement on limited minutes that we've seen Maeda, but he looks a close enough replacement to keep the identity really strong. I'm not sure the identity of the team is as secure when Giakoumakis plays. The intensity without the ball just isn't the same, and I think the movement when we're in possession isn't quite the same either. But he's going to have to step up. This is his opportunity. We've got so many big games coming up, and he might have to play all of them. So he's got to show us what he's all about. I know he said in the press after the Alloa game that this is like the season's really starting for him, because he was disrupted by injury in the first half of the season. But as I say, he's got to step up, and he's got to score goals in these next few games, because these next 3 games could make or break the rest of the season for Celtic. That's how big they are, and everybody needs to step up and put in big performances because we're missing so many key players. There you go. That's the team I think the manager will pick for tomorrow. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you tomorrow for live full-time reaction after the game. Cheers.